Hello, hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Silly Girls, Silly Thoughts. I'm your host, Mindful Body with Rachel B. It's me. Happy Sunday. How are we? How we doing? How we feeling? We're already into the second weekend of December. Time is flying by. I don't know how you're feeling this holiday month, but I'm already trucking on. We are moving and grooving through our baking list and goals for this month. Next is cookie baking. I don't know what you guys do over the holidays, but I'll be spending today, as this episode is airing, with my family making our famous little broncati biscotti for God knows what year this time. If I had to guesstimate, I feel like it's the 78th year. I could be wrong, but it's going to be fun. And on top of that, I'll be doing my own side baking during the week. We have been making sourdough bagels. We just made a sourdough chocolate loaf. It's both nutritious, delicious, and I'm just going through different jams now, different jams and spread pairings. Tell me this in the comment section. Am I doing this wrong? I feel like I've seen this on baking shows, like whipped butter but like with sugar, and I'm not thinking like a cinnamon brown sugar. It's almost like if I make a chocolate loaf, say with peppermint, should I do a whipped butter? Hear me out. Hey Chubs. Should I do a whipped butter with Christmas sprinkles? Think about it. You think about it, you let me know what you think, okay? Because I'm preparing. This is year 2 of me hosting, and we're getting ready. We're getting ready. The menu has been set. Food items have been delegated to said guests. Chubby is joining us if you are watching on visual. But if you're feeling a little bit of the overwhelm this month, again, I can also sympathize and share some compassion. The workload is increasing as the stress is rising and change is approaching. Again, this is the last month of the year, 2024. So with a lot of change and the new year approaching, majority of the general public is, in a way, preparing for their new year's new goals, new resolutions. And I generally don't love the new year. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because my silly little brain likes to think, oh, the new year starts when, the school year starts. Like fall is my ending, where winter is like a plan and prep period. Spring is that regrowth. And summer is when you really work hard and reap the rewards of your hard labor. I follow along with the seasons. And with January being a new year, I wouldn't say I'm not planning any goals at all, but I almost feel like I'm still in this hibernation planning period, and I've been restless for the execution. I think a lot of us have. So coming into this episode, I wanted to reflect on last episode from last week, this sense of building your fire, what's fueling your motivation. Are we coming into this confident perception of, I got this, I can do this, or are we still getting caught up in, I almost want to say like self-doubt? Taking an opportunity to sit and reflect on some silly little topics I see at work, and an exercise I've been using for a while, but I used consistently this week with everyone, including myself, was, hey, let's balance our silly thoughts. And again, I tailor the title to it, to the specific person, but it really is. I see that initial narrative, I see that initial reaction, I see that initial perception, but can we think opposite? To take a moment to almost ground those feet, because I think so many of us have had the fire under our ass that it feels like it's under our whole body, and we've lost this perception of, I have power in this situation. And a lot of us feel this sense of overwhelm and helpless. And I definitely felt that this week. I felt this so incredibly. Tuesday, I won't share the whole story because I don't want to make people nervous, because I just have silly Rachel bad luck. Knock on wood. Sign of the cross, if you will. Amen. As I have a black cat sitting on my lap. It's my silly little life that helps me teach you guys silly little lessons, because those who can't do can teach. Is this my purpose? I guess so. This is my purpose, and I guess I'm just leaning into it at this point. Tuesday, I was probably just at the peak of my stress in terms of managing my time. So many of us work. So many of us work multiple jobs. So many of us have multiple responsibilities. I manage my home. I manage my animals. I manage my job. I manage my commute time. I can't. What's outside of my control? I can't control traffic. I can't control accidents. I can't control if an animal is taking their time trying to go to the bathroom. I can't rush them. Everybody's got to go, and some of us unfortunately have to go at their own pace, so we have to be patient. And we've lost sight of what patient is. We lost sight of time. And I don't know if it's, again, we're all so different. So here I am Tuesday, overwhelmed already with my responsibility of I have to commute to get to work. I have a client waiting for me when I get there. I just saw a client beforehand. Everyone is already getting ready. My animals are getting situated prior to my partner coming home. And I had a little situation with my car. Nothing too serious, knock on wood, thankfully. But just a silly inconvenience. And it's not anyone's fault, and there's no place for blame. The problem isn't a person. The problem's just an energy, moment of time. And here I am in this state of overwhelm, in a state of what the hell am I supposed to do? And my mind can't make up a yes or no, because I'm already stressed out and overthinking about X, Y, and Z. I'm thinking so far about the future, but I'm losing sight of the present moment. And we're all doing these things because we're human. It happens. It happens. We're losing sight of the present moment because we're thinking so far in the future, or we're dwelling on the past, or we're so focused on things that are so outside of our control that we're losing sight of what we have power in. So when we challenge the sense of perception, for me in the therapy room, many of you know I'm a mental health therapist, and hearing the narratives some of my clients can come up with, hearing the collaborations we can do, even sitting with my own reflections of like, hey, automatically I'm responding from that stressful place. Glass is half empty. How am I going to be able to manage this? How is anybody able to do this? Comparison. And then where are those moments where I just sit and hear the sound that surrounds me and acknowledge that it's not as loud as I think it is, because most of the sound is in my head. It's the nerves. It's the emotion. Where's our regulation, my friends? Where is that deep breath? Where is that second to ground? How are you utilizing your resources around you? As my little black cat sits on my lap, cool, calm, and collected. Maybe that's calling on someone who grounds you. After telling my partner about the situation, obviously reassuring him that I was safe, he even asked, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you ask for help? My love, I was in such a state of panic. When I'm in that state, I'm in a narrative of I need someone to make a decision for me, yes or no. When my partner is in a place of stress, his narrative, I know this for a fact, we laughed about it and confirmed it. His narrative is, I need more information so I can help you. So his I need more information and mine, I already gave you enough information, give me an answer, is going to elevate the situation into something more stressful. We're not helping each other out. We're on two different sides of New Jersey. I can't help him. He can't help me. We're just going to worry each other more. That's not going to help either of us. We only have two hands. We can only hold on. We only have two hands. We can only hold on to two plates. Hold on, Chubbs. He's slipping. There you go, bud. There you go. Oy. When I'm sitting down with clients and we're talking about the negative thoughts, again, it's different for so many of us, and obviously I'm being very vague. When sitting down with the general public, clients, and even myself, this reflection on what is your negative self-talk, what is that negative voice in your head, and it leans into the parts work. We see it all the time in marriage and family therapy, looking at yourself as parts. So I like to joke with the metaphor of a moving van, and sometimes the driver is myself, just my conscious present self. Sometimes it's my anxious self. Most of the time, my anxious self is the passenger. And again, I come from that mindset in therapy that I'm not here to take away what a feeling is or what a part is. It's kind of just coexisting with it. As I was saying, it's never saying that one part is going to disappear or one part needs to go away. It's just coexisting with each part. Each part, good or bad, is what makes you who you are. So if you understand who you are and you show compassion to all parts of yourself, challenging that perception of how you approach yourself, especially when it comes to new situations. Reflecting again back to episode 1, when we're finding that motivation to try something new, so many of us are holding ourselves back. This perception of like, well, I'm going to look stupid. Well, I'm going to fail. Well, it's just not going to work out. Why should I even try? If you're not trying and if you're just watching other people, then you're never going to try it at all. And you're just going to wait. And then it's just going to feel scarier. The metaphor of the dark room. If you don't know, what is there to be scared of except your own mind, your own imagination? And obviously, again, we're coming towards the end of the year. New Year is coming. People are planning things. Things are coming to an end. New things are starting to begin. Things are shifting between the stars and the energy. And within your control, I wonder what that looks like. And I wish you good luck, my friends. Outside of our control, we can only hope for the best. Use your voice when needed. Do what you can to feel grounded and secure. That's all there is. That's living. My silly thought, my perspective, my best way of trying to make sense of it. And sometimes it's within my control, trying my best to find balance within my perspective, trying to find balance within my hobbies, to just try to keep balance within my head. That's all that there is. Everyone keeps asking why and how I'm being able to maintain or manage working as a marriage and family therapist. And I'm still early on in this career. I've only been a part of this for, I believe, 4 years now. Just 4 years, maybe 4.5. That's not even including my internship. It's not including my school time. Just working. It's only the amount of just a high school career even. College career, maybe. And there's still so much that I've learned in so many moments where if I could reflect on that I wasn't naturally proud of, but still a sense of if I didn't experience it then, I wouldn't know what I know now. I wouldn't have what I know now. And again, you don't have to be proud of moments of fail and you don't have to be proud of trial and error, but it's that sense of compassion of, hey, at least you showed up. At least you showed up. When we're coming from that perception of open mind and taking the day for what it is, you're removing that assumption, that expectation, and you're taking away a layer of fear that doesn't have to be there. It really doesn't. We can't get caught up in the idea of comparison. We can't get caught up in the idea of media because not every one of us is the same. Not every one of us is on the same stone, on the same path, within the same, direction. I was walking into Target yesterday and I saw their little game display up for the holiday, and there's the old school life with it's the little Price is Right wheel. I had the Y2K version where you had the credit card. And I was looking at my partner, I was like, I need to get this for my office and I need to therapize it and make it into a game for the office because this is what I mean. Life watching it practically a decade ago. I'm really aging myself. Being able to see the different lifestyles and different ways people lived and having that perception of, wow, this, speaking as an American, this country is huge. This country is so big with so many different types of landscapes, resources, lifestyles, habits. And I'm such, I don't know, I'm such a fan of nature documentaries, and even just seeing how the animals and wildlife live in different parts of this country reflects in how we as humans live, because animals and humans are just the same, and this hierarchy perception is not really working. So if anyone really wants to learn something, start looking at what's around you. It really is common sense. And again, find those thoughts, ground those feet. Take that moment, pocket of peace, to lean into what is natural, what is in your space, what you're working with, and not always getting caught up in what is everybody else doing. Because we're not all supposed to be the same. It's not all within the same space doing the same things at the same time. It's just not possible. And it's great to come together in moments, but it's not supposed to last forever. So sometimes I just see how this rat race, this chase, this FOMO, this comparison, this expectation, these assumptions within myself, within the general public, within my job, within yoga, within friendships, everywhere, within media. It can get so overwhelming. So taking those boundaries and creating space to be with yourself, your feelings, your part. Who's sitting within your car? Who's driving? Who's sitting as your passenger? Who's taking up the back seat? How are you regulating those emotions? So you're not getting so caught up in the chaos of your mind, getting caught up in the chaos of media, getting caught up in the chaos of somebody else's emotions. Because sometimes not everyone's practicing their own boundaries, so you have to be mindful to keep and maintain yours. And those look different. Don't be afraid to go back to season 1 in our episode of boundaries and how they look different for every situation. Because it's necessary for your perception. We've always heard the narrative of negative Nancy, misery enjoys company. It's all right to sit around and bitch here and there, but sometimes I enjoy using humor when it comes to talking about negative experiences or things that have made me feel scared or things that I felt embarrassed of. My teeny beans make fun of me so much for how cringe I can be in session, but I'm like, hey, I enjoyed that TikToker so much for saying once you are, lean into the cringe, you are free. And what the hell do I have to be scared of? You guys are teenagers. Who are you going to tell if I'm cool or not? Your friends? That's fine. End of the day, this is a job and I'm here to entertain myself and you guys, okay? We're here to sell regulation skills. And I do it. It just, I don't know. I could almost laugh. I could almost laugh at how my perception has changed as I've gotten older. And again, based on the things I've experienced by choice, not by choice, within my control, outside of my control, expected and not. Change is both exciting and scary. Change is both necessary to adapt to what the present moment is. And without it, you're kind of left behind. So it's not saying FOMO, be a part of everything, but it's saying, hey, what is a part of your world, your lifestyle, your perception? And check in with everybody else, time and place, not all day, not all the time, not everywhere. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. Where are the relationships in the present moment? It's the holiday season, my friends. I'm all done up because I came back from a little holiday party myself. Being able to lean into family is so nice, even when it's not always your own. Being able to embrace new people, new lifestyles, new cultures always excites me. We're in our bread baking era as per usual. We're always doing some silly little hobby, keeping our silly little brain entertained. In this December month, we're definitely baking a lot more. So being able to gift and create new recipes and seeing everyone's expressions when they eat food, I love it. I love being in those moments. To just chitter chatter, reflect, gossip, laugh, eat. Maybe that's the Italian in me, the Spanish in me. I just want to feed people. I just made a chocolate sourdough loaf. Ah, paired with some cherry jam. Ooh. I think next time I might add a little espresso in it to kind of like pull the flavor of the chocolate out. I think that might be the next trial and error. We also accomplished some everything bagels. We're never buying bagels again, my friends. Delicious. So easy. Another thing, balancing your mindset and lifestyle to balance that perspective. We've talked about this in season 1. End of the day, we're all human. I'm always going to think of what the future might be. Time and space to have those thoughts. But day to day, what silly thing am I going to do to keep myself entertained in this life? And if that's maintaining a little sourdough in a glass jar and making sourdough bread, bagels. I love eating bread. It's my favorite food. Oh, fantastic. Why not? Why are we not leaning into the hobbies that reward us and create, I don't know, not create, but almost wake up the creativity within us? It's so much fun. I would love to do embroidery in the future. Cleaning our spaces is so necessary as we come in, as the winter approaches. Where is that perception of who am I in this present moment? And what do I need? And what can I leave behind as I approach this new year? Maybe that's on your to-do list. Maybe I'm pushing my luck and we're moving too fast. I'll bring it back. So, again, moment of trial and error is so necessary. Being able to embrace feeling embarrassed, I think, honestly comes with age. It's my silly little thought to embrace the teen community. So you can't hurt my feelings. My grandmother has been making fun of me since I was 7 years old. At this point, anything you say, she's said to me already. With that, I don't know. My silly mind is that when my headspace is on therapy mode, I'm there for my job, for my purpose. What you say, it's not going to hurt me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. On the streets, other perception, I might take things to heart. I'm sensitive. I do have a Cancer sign in my big 3. But judgment and opinions are going to come and go. Holiday season definitely brings that too. As we approach family, this fear of what are people saying? What do I have to present? What kind of updates are there? The holidays bring on a bit, again, some interesting, exciting energy, and everyone's feeling warm and fuzzy. So I can only imagine the next few announcements we might have from family, friends, and media. And normalize those feelings within yourself, but obviously please keep them within yourself. Remember, they belong in your notes and not within your status. It's okay to feel jealous. It's okay to have those moments of like, damn it, I was so close to have that too. Or when's my time gonna shine? And I get it. We're feeling antsy. What are you doing to work towards those goals? Stay consistent in working towards those goals, please. And when the time is right, the time is right. We have to stop being so impatient. If you're feeling impatient, find things that help you slow down. Again, I'm doing sourdough bread. It takes 24 hours to make a loaf, bitch. I'm really testing my patience. Gotta practice what I preach. That being said, if I had to recommend any reading material towards this topic, when it comes to challenging your perception and balancing those thoughts, I still am working through my summer reading because I'm obviously doing so much and never sitting still. But Buddha's Brain by Richard Hanson. I really embraced this book over the summer, and it's very rare that I'll recommend a self-help book or even anything really therapy related. Sometimes I feel like they get caught up in some directions that I feel are tailored to specifics. And everything is different for each person. So sometimes I enjoy messages that are vague, because if you're not taking a message and tailoring it to your specific needs, you're not going to get the most out of it. Again, not all of us are the same. Trial and error. Listen to the people around you. Take things into consideration. Be open-minded, but also be honest with yourself. We're not here to force things to happen. Then they're never going to work out. So if I had to share something, I just wanted to share 2 pages, because again, I'm obviously not very far in this book. Being on your own side. It's a general moral principle that the more power you have over someone, the greater your duty is to use that power benevolently. Well, who is the one person in the world you have the greatest power over? It's your future self. You hold that life in your hands, and what it will be depends on how you care for it. Working with young teens and the young demographic, a lot of it is high schoolers going into college, and there's always that topic of, Rachel, what's the future ahead? Being mindful of my own background, I graduated high school. I went right into community college for 2 years. I transferred into a 4-year for 2 years, took a gap year, went back for my master's, and here we are. The process wasn't smooth. My own experience is that with every ending, there's always some debacle. There's always some bad luck. It increases that stress of like, why is this not working? Where is this jealousy coming from? Why am I working so hard and it's just not adding up? And everyone's experience is so different, first. Second, everyone's perception is also so different based on what you're watching. And while media is so helpful, again, I use it. I'm not going to say that I'd give up my social media, but I'm trying to keep those boundaries time in place. I love watching people cook. I love watching creators garden and farm and educate and entertain and be comedic. But if our perception isn't aware of what entertainment is, what reality is, what education is, what news is, what demand is, what fear is, etc., etc., and maybe it's just my silly mind as I categorize these moments, because things feel so loud all at once. And when things feel so loud all at once and you're just taking it all in and bringing it all in, and you start to drain your own power. And I feel that exhaustion, and I see that exhaustion in so many people. And again, it influences that fear perception of, I don't think I'm capable of. Well, I don't think there's anything out there for me. Well, everyone's such a great streamer. What am I capable of doing? How am I going to entertain? Am I doing anything that's cool enough? And I almost giggle and laugh when people are like, well, Rachel, you're just so cool. Look at everything you do. And I go, you just don't see how many things I'm just willing to try, because why not? Who's stopping me? Chubby might, because he's just sitting here. Hello. End of the day, I'm a stubborn girl. I think there's a part of me, definitely, high school going into young adulthood, where I was just stubborn, and every time I had someone go like, oh, I don't think you're capable of, oh, you don't think you can try, oh, I don't think you can, watch me. Anything you can do, I can do. And if I can't, that's okay. I'll lean into my own strengths. I'm not here to push my luck. We've talked about reclaiming power, and again, it comes back to that perception of the present moment. What is within your control? How do you take care of yourself? How do you recharge your batteries? What do you need to keep yourself in this pocket of peace to balance when you are in those environments of chaos? Again, we can't control things outside of our control. So if we're working stressful jobs, if there's just a chatty Cathy who just can't stop talking about it, time and space, chatty Cathy, it's all right. It's okay. Go back into those sense of boundaries, take in what you can, and practice silly little rituals in silly little ways. Washing the day away, washing our hands when we get home, resting at the end of the day, nourishing our bodies with a good meal. The recharge. We have our responsibilities of having to show up every day for work, for our school, for our friends, for our family, for our community, but don't be afraid to show up for yourself when necessary. With the holiday season, being mindful of approaching my family and friends peacefully, mindfully, and being honest with my own self. I can only do so much. I'm working full time. I'm taking care of my home. I'm hosting my second Christmas here with my family and my partner's family. We're taking care of 4 animals together. The days are going by quickly. The days go by fast. So when there's moments where I could just pause, sit, and be, it's not that bad. That perception of things aren't really moving that fast. And we can just take a moment to pause. Being a cat owner in the last few years has definitely owned me certain ways of setting my boundaries and being mindful about communicating said boundaries. Still sit with what I say when it comes to animals being probably the most mindful creatures there are. If you feel like you have such a hard time understanding what mindfulness is and embracing a perception of living in the present moment, look at your pets. I'm joking, hold on. Look at your pets. They're not worrying about tomorrow. They're not really thinking about yesterday. Chubby's probably planning out my death. Oh no, he loves me too much. He knows I feed him. And that Christmas is coming. Setting up even my desk at the window and sitting with Chubby and looking out is part of my mindful day practice. Things can feel like they're moving so fast. As an adult, as a young adult, as a senior, as just a person. It's hard to keep up with everything. It's hard to feel like we're catching our breath in those few moments. But when you just take your pause, what's there to do? What's there to feel? I wrote in my notes when it came to reflecting on today's topic, including a part of guilt. Because even in myself, this perception of being in the present moment and taking time to self-care, there are moments of feeling guilt. Within my control, sometimes I look at those bigger responsibilities. My house is getting dirty. Working a lot more, attending more family gatherings, trying to keep up with one chore more than the other, leaning on my partner in ways, him leaning on me. Sometimes I need a day to just catch up on the housework. So, do I deserve this rest? A lot of us get caught up in the social media and the comparison of our situations to others, and there's that comparison of our situations to others and that guilt of why should we celebrate when there's so much negative in the world. And sometimes my silly brain just leans back into history. Well, there's always going to be something happening. There's always going to be something happening, but there's always traditions, there's always small holidays, there's always small celebrations, because there's always culture, and there's always time, and there's always life, and there's always cycles. So again, as I cycle through my sourdough baking moment before I start preparing my seeds for my next garden this summer, those moments of preparing for my work and progress within my career, those moments of taking care of my home and building it and creating into the space it needs to be, those perceptions of things take time. The seeds will grow. and things will flower. But if your perception is, well, this isn't going to work out, and why isn't it happening fast enough, and what's the point? You should feel bad that you're even trying. You should work on that and talk to that part of yourself, because is that you? Is that something else? That's your work to do. And compassion's so necessary, and it's not saying be this babying nature to yourself, because there's so much shame to, even as adults, oh, you can't take time, you can't take rest. Even going back to my reference, Buddha's brain, self-compassion, each person suffers sometimes, and many people suffer a lot. Compassion is a natural response to suffering, including your own. Self-compassion isn't self-pity, but is simply warmth, concern, and good wishes. Just like compassion for another person, because self-compassion is more emotional than self-esteem. It's actually more powerful for reducing the impact of difficult conditions, preserving self-worth, and building resilience. There's so much empathy in mental health. There's so much empathy in people. There's so much sympathy. There's so much giving. There's so much worry. There's so much concern, but it's not executed into something. It's not progressed into words, back into yourself. It's not always reflected in what you do for you, and it has to be. Even when it's like a deli slice of compassion, even if it's so small, you need self-compassion to say, you know what? I tried my best. What did I learn from the situation? What can I do different if I try again? When I try again? When you're ready. We do this in yoga. Anytime there's a balance pose, you fall, you come right back, you try again. You shake it off. Every day is different. Don't force something today that might happen tomorrow. Be grateful that you did it yesterday. Each day is different. And when we approach it with that open mind, that sense of compassion, that sense of effort, that sense of you're a human, and humans can only do so much, and everyone is so beautiful in their own different way, and each person's strength is their own, and we complement each other, and what amazing things we can do on our own and together, and so forth. So much beauty, so much sparkle, so much silly little thoughts in my silly head. And they happen in small ways. Maybe not big all the time. But in my perception, it's there. In my silly thoughts, in my silly view, in my silly world. We've got some rose-colored glasses. Balanced thoughts when things feel very black and white. Moments to be with ourselves when it comes to challenging those inner narratives of what are you doing and why are we doing this and what if we look silly? And where's that little voice in you that says, well, who the hell cares? Because we're doing this for us, not them. And this would excite us if we tried. And what else is there to do except move forward? It's either that or sit at home and be bored. Up to you. Up to you, my friends. I think that might be where we bring all this to a close. I swear to you, I could gab all day, yap all night, but we got to bring this to a close. I got to get to bed. Thank you again, as always, for taking the time to listen. This is another episode of Silly Girls, Silly Thoughts. I'm your host, Mindful Body with Rachel B. Until next week, my friends. Have a great week.